guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome to my channel. My name is Sabrina and I would love it if you would subscribe. Today I'm going to be telling a story, and this is a story that I went back and forth about sharing on my channel because this happened quite a little bit ago, but I've been telling it a lot in my personal life and I thought that I would go ahead and share it here. But before I do, I want to give a disclaimer because I think that that needs to be said with this kind of story just so that you guys don't get the wrong impression. I am a person of faith. I do believe in Jesus, and so that's not something, I'm not talking down upon this person because of their faith. It was just the way that they approach a situation. So I wanted to get that across before we got into the story so that you guys knew kind of where I was at with this. But yeah, so if you guys want to hear this crazy story, then go ahead and keep watching. Okay, so about 2 years ago actually, on Valentine's Day, me and my ex-boyfriend Dustin went out to dinner. We went out on a date, and jokingly I was like, let's go into PetSmart and adopt a cat. And he was like, we're not buying a cat because I already at this point had one cat, and he was like, we're not buying another cat. Well, we went into PetSmart just to look, to kind of goof around and waste some time, and while we were there we were looking around because at this time they had a shelter like in PetSmart that was adopting out pets because it was around Valentine's Day, so they were just trying to get more people to adopt. Anyway, so we were walking around PetSmart and we were looking at the animals and stuff like that, and Dustin was behind me and I would be talking to him. I'd be like, oh, look at this cat, I want to adopt this one, or look at that one's fur, or whatever, you know. I would just be talking to him about the animals, and I noticed shortly after he and I got in the store that a lady was answering. So I would be like, oh, Dustin, look at this cat, it's big and beautiful, I love its gray fur. And she'd be like, oh yeah, that is a pretty cat. And so I thought she just so happened to be around us and she was chiming on the conversation, which happens, whatever. So I didn't think much into it, but we were walking all around the store and this lady kept following us, so she kept like butting into our conversation, and she wasn't like making it like super known that she was there, but what was happening is it was me in front, Dustin behind me, and then she was behind Dustin. So when I would talk to Dustin, she would like say stuff and reply to me or in reply to him, like she was joining in on our conversation. And again, I didn't realize what was happening because I was in front, and so I thought it was kind of weird that she kept saying it even though we were moving around completely different parts of the store. Well, we ended up going over by the fish, and I stopped, and I just so happened to look back and make eye contact with her because Dustin had moved so that I could see her. And she walked up to me and she said, ma'am, may I pray for you? And I was like, yeah, of course, because, you know, I love Jesus, and so it's always nice when people pray for me. And the funny thing about this is, shortly before Dustin and I started dating, I told him, like, people are going to approach me in public because I'm in a wheelchair. People often stare. Some people will approach me. Like, it's just something that happens, and I'm not offended when people do that. I don't mind it, but I know that it happens, and I knew that it may make him uncomfortable or the other people that I'm with, so I always try to warn people that that is something that can happen. So I had told him before, like, people are going to approach me in public and ask questions, and you're free to just like step away if you want, or, you know, whatever. So this was the first time that it ever happened with us being together, and she said, can I pray for you? And Dustin is not a religious person, and so I automatically knew that he was going to be uncomfortable, but I just said yes, thinking that she meant I'm going to go home in my bedroom and pray for you. But that's not what she meant, because she got on her hands and knees in the middle of PetSmart and started yelling a prayer. And now I commend her faith. I think that takes a lot of courage. And so I was like, thank you for praying for me. After she said amen, she kind of got up and stepped back and said, okay, now walk. And I was really confused because I was like, ma'am, I have a spinal cord injury, like I can't walk. And she was like, but I prayed for you. And I was like, I know, I appreciate that, thank you so much, like I really appreciate you doing that, that's very kind for you, but I'm paralyzed, like I have spinal cord injury. And I don't remember all the conversation, but I remember she started to get very, very sassy. She started to cut me off. She wouldn't let me speak, and she just kept being like, you don't know God, you don't trust his ability, yada, yada, yada. And basically, when I'd be like, well, you know, I believe in God, and I believe that this is something that is just meant to happen, and I'm okay being paralyzed. Like, I'm happy. I don't need to walk to feel happy in life. And like, she wasn't letting me speak. She wasn't letting me say anything. She just kept cutting me off and shouting Bible verses at me and telling me that she prayed for me and that I needed to get up and walk. And honestly, in that moment, if I could have walked even just a little bit, I would have, to make her leave me alone, because she was coming at me so harshly and so negatively and making me feel really like really uncomfortable. And she told me, like, I just prayed for a lady in the mall and she was paralyzed and she could walk, and I don't understand why it's not working with you. And like, she was getting very angry, which was upsetting me, and she wasn't letting me be like, ma'am, like, I can't walk. Like, I understand you prayed for me and I appreciate that. I don't really remember how that story ended. I think that finally her husband was getting very uncomfortable. You could tell he was standing in the back on his cell phone, and Dustin was over very uncomfortable because this lady was being really unreasonable. And I think finally I just got her to understand, like, I wasn't going to walk, that I appreciated her prayers. But it was definitely one of the weirdest experiences that have ever happened to me in my life. I mean, I definitely appreciate her kindness and her prayers, but I think that she thought she could heal me, and I don't know what she thought, to be honest with you. But that's actually the day that we adopted my cat Roland, and that's when I got 2 cats. So that's a happy ending to that story, I guess. But yeah, I don't want you guys to get the wrong impression of people who follow Christ, because I know that a lot of Christians, the idea for Christians is a bad name like that, but not all of us are like that, and I want you to understand that. But I wanted to tell this story because it is pretty crazy, and I thought that it would be entertaining. So if you guys liked it, give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment below, and I will see you guys in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye!